Hello, everyone. Hello.
The
Hello,
internet.
Donna. How are you? I am glad to see you.
Oh my goodness, I'm so glad to see you. Please forgive me, you and everybody. The internet and then my computer. It was an interesting endeavor, but we
Wow.
are
Wow.
here.
But we are here, and that
Yes.
is the most important thing. And
Yes.
because we have a lot that we're going to cover today. And
Mhm.
so, if you guys are not familiar, I want to first talk about what we're doing and why we came together. Right. So, the first thing is that I have launched an emotional intelligence series. And the emotional, and so periodically, I'm going to bring on numerous guests, right, that is going to really talk about their level of emotional intelligence, but in a specific field. So here we have Dr. Donna Lindsay. And although, I am, the emotional intelligence coach, a lot of what she does is embodied in emotional intelligence. So I want to just give a mini bio of Dr. Donna Lindsay. She is the CEO of Donna Lindsay Coaching. That's just the first part of it, and consulting. She is a renowned speaker nationally and internationally, and she is a self-love strategist. And one of the beautiful things is she brings a unique as well as a transformative approach to coaching, speaking, and education, really setting her apart in her field. She has over 15 years of experience as a life coach, as an author, as a speaker, as well as an educator. And so Dr. Lindsay combines practical wisdom with just profound incitement to guide individuals, groups, and organizations that are on a journey to self discovery and empowerment. And just one other thing that I do want to mention is that she has authored 4 books. Yes, I said that. 4 books she has authored, and it is entitled Self Love, A Journey, Not a Destination, and Leading in Love. And so I actually want to kind of start there, right, Dr. Donna, because you started off, with these 4 books. And so we're going to talk about them in detail a little bit later. But what truly inspired you to really begin to write? And I know your first book was Self Love, A Journey, Not a Destination. But really, what kind of inspired you to write this book?
So, quite frankly, in all honesty, it was my life journey. At the time when the book was written, I was well into my 40s. But, much like many, I had lived a full life and experienced my fair share of insecurities and inadequacies. And I realized, yes, I was successful in my
Yeah.
work. I was successful at church. I was successful in the community, but I didn't love myself.
Yeah.
I didn't have this, appreciation for myself. I didn't know how to speak life into myself. I didn't, have the ability to really approve of myself. I was always looking for other people, whether it was my spouse or my supervisor or my pastor to,
Right.
approve me and to tell me that I was good enough for whatever was happening.
Yeah.
So ultimately, it was my own personal journey
Yeah.
that catapulted me into writing the book. And I just hope it's a blessing to others.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, it's been a blessing to me. I wish I would have brought my copy in here so I could just kind of wave it a little bit. But it's definitely been a blessing because I think sometimes, especially speaking as a mother and an entrepreneur, as well as an author, you can get so caught up in taking care of everybody else,
Mhm.
right, that you forget to take care of yourself. And
Right.
even when you do take care of yourself, sometimes there's a guilty feeling in there, right? Because there's always other things that you could be doing. And so I know you are a mother, you are an entrepreneur, you are an educator. How have you been able to balance self love and still be able to be a wife and a mother and an entrepreneur? Like, how have you been able to navigate that space?
So there's 3 things that come to mind. first, you have to be intentional.
Yeah.
Have to be intentional. If this is a journey that you desire to take, and I'm hoping, I think we all need to take it, male or female, we all
Yeah.
need to take the journey. um, you have to be intentional.
Yeah.
Make that decision that this is something that I want to do, and I'm going to follow the steps to get there. The next thing, it's going to require discipline. So even when you don't feel like doing it, it's going to be necessary, right? So just that
Absolutely.
example that you just gave, even though there may be a whole laundry list of things to do in the house,
Right.
right? You have to say to yourself, no, 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 discipline yourself. This is my time. This 30
Yeah.
minutes belongs to me. This hour belongs to me. And then the next thing is consistency,
Yeah.
right? We have to be consistent, and we don't love ourselves once a week,
Right.
right? It's a daily practice.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we have to build in that time. If we don't ensure that we're taking care of ourselves, really and truly, how good can we be for other people?
Absolutely.
So it's a win-win. So I would say be intentional, um, you know activate that discipline, and then of course, be consistent about it.
Yeah, and that's one of the toughest things to do, right? Because you're talking about discipline, you're talking about intentionality, and you're also talking about intention and consistency. None of those words are glamorous.
No, at all.
None of those words want people want to just, they are biting at the bit to be able to practice discipline or consistency.
Right.
But what you're saying is absolutely right, because how can you truly be there for other people when you can't be there for yourself,
That's it.
right? And I think so many people, they want to show love to other people, but in order for you to show love to other people the right way, you got to start off by loving yourself first. So, one of the topics, because I know we are going to be really watching our time, I know there were some people that joined a little bit later, but I really want to dive right in and jump in, because as we have this discussion, you're going to bring, of course, as the self love strategist, I'm going to combine it with emotional intelligence, and
Mhm.
we are going to mirror this journey to wholeness.
Right.
Right, this journey to wholeness, which is something that is not a um, uh, fly by night type of transformation. It is going to take a level of intentionality. It is going to take a level of discipline,
Yeah.
and it is going to take a level of consistency, right?
Right.
And so let's begin to start the conversation with one of the things. As a self love strategist, I know you've traveled to multiple places, and I'm sure you've heard plenty of, people that as you begin to talk, they begin to, spearhead questions, and one of the things that we talked about prior to the show is that there are some myths that people have concerning self care and self love, right?
Yeah.
And,
Right.
and a lot of people think self care and self love is the same thing. And so, can you just dig a little bit deeper in there? And can you really talk to us? What is the because it sounds the same. Self
Right.
care and self love,
Yeah.
they sound exactly alike, but what is the difference between the two?
So essentially, when it comes to self-care, that is, the glamorous stuff. That's all the stuff that we like to do, right? It's the bubble bath with a glass of wine, watching, a chick flick, and, maybe going to get your hair done, buying a new outfit, getting a new car, getting a whole new living room set for that brand new living room that you got with your brand new house. So
Right.
all of that exterior stuff. But what I
Yes.
often tell people is that the self care is a band aid.
Yes.
Because we see people all the time that are doing self care, but they're leaving
Yeah.
here prematurely as a result of suicide,
Yeah.
as a result of, overdosing, drug addiction, and so on and so forth. So what's happening? Right?
Right.
We're investing all of this money in beautifying our exterior, but
Yes.
there's still a disconnect. So
Right.
oftentimes what I'd like to share as I travel globally is that the self-care is necessary, right?
Yeah.
It's great to appreciate yourself by doing certain things.
Right.
But what self-love is going to cause you to do is self-love is going to cause you to do the deeper dive. Okay.
Mm,
A lot of times when people hear the word love, they just think about the warm and fuzzy stuff. They just think about the hugs and the kisses and all of that, mushy stuff that comes with love. But there's another side to love. And
yeah.
that side of love is the correction, right? So this is where we're actually doing that deeper dive to really take a look at ourselves,
Yeah.
right? So in my book, I have 5 pillars that I take the reader through. And the first is acknowledgement. And
Yeah.
it is the most important pillar of them all. Okay. Because it's in this acknowledgement phase that we begin to identify what's in operation.
Right.
What is really keeping us from moving forward in our relationships? What's hindering us from advancing on the job and in our career? Is it fear? Is it insecurity? And I covering this fear and insecurity up with a manicure?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So that's what I would definitely say is that self-care is the band-aid
Yeah.
that we put on the exterior to kind of give everyone the impression that we're okay.
Yeah.
Self-love causes us to do that deeper dive, really become acquainted with who we are and bring some change, enter
Yeah.
into a place of transformation.
And that takes work.
Yes.
And that's why the name of my book is Heart Work of the Soul,
Right.
right? Because this is the part where you're talking about, when you're talking about acknowledgement and emotional intelligence, that is awareness,
Right.
right? Awareness is having the ability, right, to be able to manage, right, to be aware of your moods, your drivers, your impulses, right, and how they impact other people, right? And so the thing about it, if you don't have one of the things that I hear a lot is, if you don't know better, then you can't do better.
Right.
So how can you love yourself that is deeper than getting a Louis Vuitton bag, right? Because that's great, right?
Yeah.
But that is going to bring about an emotion of happiness,
Right.
right? That may make you feel confident. Even confidence is an emotion.
Mm-hmm.
One minute you're feeling confident because you just got your hair done,
Right.
and then all of a sudden you can see someone that you admire while you're out, and they can look at you from head to toe and be like, "What are you wearing?" And
Right.
all of a sudden, that confidence that was
It goes through the roof, honey. It's over. Now you want to take you in the street doing like this, like, oh, let me come out. Yeah.
probably never want to wear that outfit again, right?
Again. Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
So there has to be, so what you're saying is that self-care is truly focusing on the external, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is like a band-aid on a bullet wound, right?
Yep.
Which self-love requires you to dig deep within yourself, right? Try to understand what is at the root of your fears, right? Of your insecurities, of your anger. Matter of fact, do you even know what emotion you're experiencing? According to Travis Bradbury, only 34% of the time are we able to accurately identify and recognize what we're feeling in the moment. And
Right.
so if you don't know how you're even feeling in the moment, it's going to be very tough for you to even begin to layer the other aspects that is going to be important. And I love that you said that we got to first start trying to understand what is love. I want to park there for a little bit because you talked about it just a little bit, but a lot of the times people will say, "No." When I fall in love with people, I love this person. I think about them all day. I think about them all night. You can't tell me that I don't love them. I do love them. And so there's this like misconception of really what love is and what lust is,
Right.
right?
Right.
And so lust, you can even lust yourself and lust the external part of yourself and not truly love yourself. You
Right.
can lust yourself and not truly love yourself. And so, can you just talk about that? Because there is a misconception there between love and lust as it relates to the way in which we treat ourselves.
And the example that you just gave was amazing, right? So you think about the person all the time. You can't wait to be around the person all the time. That is what I call an unhealthy relationship. It's
Yeah.
imbalanced. You
Yeah.
you have an addiction issue. You're addicted to the
Right.
person. You're not in love. Let me just break it to you. You're not in
Right.
love.
Right.
Okay? You
Right.
are using that person to fill a void in your life. Okay?
Mm,
So now isn't this interesting? You can't wait to see this person. This is a person that oh my goodness, like I go to sleep with this person on my mind. This person is always on my mind. I could text them literally every second of the day, but let
yeah.
them do something to cross you.
Oh my goodness.
Now you ready to get a divorce, you ready to break up, you ready to find a new friend. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. So one of the things that we have to understand is that love, it has many different attributes, but the ones that immediately come to mind, love is patient, right?
Yes, it
So
is. Right.
are you demonstrating patience towards yourself, right? I'm one who used to have challenges with being extremely hard on herself.
Yeah.
And I'm working through it. Even though I
Yeah.
wrote the book, my self-learn journey continues, right?
Yes.
So I
Yes.
have gotten better with it, but it is definitely something that I'm still working on. When we love ourselves, it's patient. We have to be
Yeah.
patient. We have
Yeah.
to understand that we need to make room for growth, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Love is kind. How are you demonstrating kindness to yourself? How are
Yeah.
you, extending, that self-care to yourself? Some women don't even engage in self-care, right?
Absolutely, especially the type of self love you're talking about. Like the self care portion, now the self love portion. That's even harder for them.
Yeah, I've heard women say that it's unnecessary. Why do I have to do all of that? Right. So, okay, if not doing hair and nails and stuff, what's another way that you show kindness to yourself? And like you said earlier, this is where people like, I get silence.
Yeah.
Well, because people are like, what do you mean showing myself kindness? Like, what are you doing for yourself to make yourself
Right.
feel good? Right. So
Yeah.
those are just some of the attributes. But, when we think about love, love is so much deeper than thinking about somebody. Right.
Absolutely.
It's about the level of intimacy that you're having, and intimacy, not just physically, but that intimacy where you're really getting to know self. You're really
Yeah.
diving deep into self and really getting a clear understanding of what makes you tick. What are your triggers? As you said, you come out in your red bottoms with your outfit on. You think you got on this $500 dress. You just bought it. You got it on sale at Gucci, wherever. And you're like,
Right.
ooh.
Yeah.
And everybody in the church turns the other way when they see you coming because the dress is hideous.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, these are just some of the things to think about. But love is definitely, it has several attributes. It's patient, it's kind, it doesn't record wrongdoing, right? We're
Yes.
not keeping
Absolutely.
score of the mistakes that we made yesterday. When we wake up and it's a new day, we have the opportunity to start again. This is how we demonstrate love. We're not holding ourselves hostage to
Right.
past mistakes and to past failures.
Yeah. And that's very difficult to do, especially especially if that memory has been ingrained in you and that has become your autopilot response.
Hmm.
And what I mean by that is that some people think love is abuse.
Mm, yeah.
It's hard to tell that person that this person is not loving you.
Right.
They're talking down to you, they're cursing, they're yelling, they're putting their hands on you, but
Hmm.
they say they love you. And so there is this twisted form of love that this person is now operating in. And then when they choose another person that don't hit them, they antagonize them,
Right. Right.
right?
Right.
Because, and
See it all the
subconsciously.
time. Yep. I see it all the time. I see it all the time. You're steady instigating and egging the person on because you think a slap is what love is. What?
Yeah, but if you was to say that to the person, they'll be like, "No," it is they're missing the awareness, they're
Mhm.
missing the acceptance, they're missing the acknowledgement, right?
Mhm.
And if you're not able to come to a sense of reality in those areas, there's no way there's going to be any type of regulation from there. And and then we're going to move right on. But one of the things that I want everyone that is going to watch this, whether you are watching this, live or whether you're going to be watching this after the fact, love is sacrifice.
Yes.
Love doesn't necessarily feel good, right? When your baby wakes up at 2 o'clock in the morning, right? And then 4 o'clock, and then 6 o'clock, and then 8 o'clock, right? It does not feel good to get up as a zombie and make a bottle.
Right.
And that baby don't even love you back. The babies are the most selfish things on the planet, right? They
Right.
want you to meet their needs regardless. But you get up and you do it in pain, in anguish, no matter what the thing, what you're feeling in that moment, you're choosing to love. And I think that's where people kind of get it mixed up a little bit. They think love is a feeling that should automatically happen when
No.
love is a decision, when
Right.
love is an action, with love requires intentionality and consistency and discipline, right? That we were definitely talking about before. And so, just because you're not feeling, it could bring on those other feelings as well,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
However, there are some sacrifices and things that don't feel good. And while we're on the topic of love, right?
Mhm.
Let's kind of get into leadership, right? Because we're talking about it from a personal perspective, and I would like to kind of shift it to a professional perspective. Why do you think that it is so important for leaders to, because you have your book Leading in Love,
Right.
why do you think it is so important for leaders to lead in love?
Well, ultimately, we're in a relationship, right? So whether that's, leadership in a governmental agency, a hospital, a fire station, a church, it doesn't matter. Some Fortune 500 company, you
Yeah,
are first and foremost in relationship, right? We're in this relationship together.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so if we really want to move our organization in a particular direction, it's important that we are demonstrating, as you said earlier, this level of commitment. We have to be intentional with our people, right? We
yeah,
we have to demonstrate some sort of discipline when it comes to how we bring correction. Right.
yeah,
We have to demonstrate consistency whereby, we're coming in each day and greeting the people that we're surrounded by, that we're working with. Leadership for many that are in the workforce, or many that are in religious organizations, or whatever kind of organization you're affiliated with, oftentimes they are looking to the leader to be the example.
right,
And so that right there, to me, if we
yeah,
have more leaders that are leading in love and being the demonstration of that grace, being the demonstration of that patience, being the demonstration of kindness, being the demonstration of what it looks like not to keep my wrongdoings, my
yeah,
tardiness constantly before me, I think we'll have more positivity and productivity
yeah.
in our workforce, right?
Yeah, yes, I'm in complete agreement with you. I think one of the things that is truly missing in leadership is empathy.
Yep.
In emotional intelligence, I talk about empathy all the time
Very
because
true.
how are you able to understand and relate with the feelings of other people when you are out of control with the feelings of yourself?
Right. Right.
I
It
don't.
makes no sense.
How is that supposed to work? You suppress. You have gotten a degree, your doctorate, and
Hello.
in suppressing how you truly feel. But now, and then you have your employee, and your employee is not able to work because of whatever reason, and your only response is, say their family is going through something, some type of family emergency, and your response is, "I'm sorry to hear that." So
Yeah.
when do you think you'll be able to get that taken care of and come back to work?
Right. But what has happened in the workforce, in society at large, we've been taught to leave our emotions at the door. We
Right.
haven't been taught to bring our emotions through the door and to learn how to better manage those emotions.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
So I think there needs to be an entire shift in the narrative where we are able to bring our whole selves, because I don't know how you leave your emotions at the door. That's leaving a part of yourself. It's like cut off
Right.
your arm and
Yeah.
leave your arm at the door, and
Not
afterwards you
possible.
can get your arm, right? Like,
Right.
who does that?
Right.
So ultimately what we need to do is begin to move to a place where we can bring our emotions through the door, but now let's learn how to manage those
Right.
emotions, right?
Absolutely.
If
Right.
I'm triggered at work, why am I triggered at work? I'm the leader. What about this person is triggering me? What
Right.
about this scenario is triggering me? And then,
Right.
it leads me to a whole nother conversation where the other piece that's needed in leadership is transparency and vulnerability.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you are not being transparent as a leader, and if you think that vulnerability is weakness, then of course that is going to stifle your leadership ability and your ability to be able to connect with your team, right? Because at the end of the day, what life is about, it's about connection. It's
Mhm.
funny, earlier today, I watched the movie Inside Out 2.
Okay.
And in watching this movie, I thought it was a really great movie, by the way. But one of the things that they had on there was anxiety,
Hmm.
right? And so many times in leadership and personally, right? Instead of being able to address some of the issues that arise, right, and regulate those emotions, a lot of the times anxiety comes up. So many people are walking around here with anxiety. I
Yep.
mean, to the point where they need medication for it, right?
Correct.
And if you saw this movie, there was this whirlwind that happened in this girl's life as a result of all of these anxious emotions and memories that came up as a result of this anxiety. Anxiety in this movie was seeking to destroy.
Yeah.
It was seeking to destroy. That wasn't its intentionality. That it wasn't being intentional, but it was a byproduct
Right.
of being within that anxious state over a long period of time. So how are you supposed to be able to lead and love when you're feeling anxious, when you're feeling depressed, when you're feeling insecure? It's very difficult as a leader for you to be able to do that if you're not aware of how you are feeling, right? And so, one of the next questions I'm going to ask you, because I want to be able to provide some type of solution, right? To how can we better be able to be better leaders in love, right?
Mhm.
And in the self-love journey, how can we do that work? Because we're going against a lot. We're going against anxiety, we're going against fear, we're going against triggers, we're going against insecurities. And a lot of us didn't have the upbringing where our parents said, this is how you manage anxiety, this is how you manage um, rejection, this is how you manage insecurity, right? And so for anyone that is watching right now,
Mhm.
what would you say to them? How should they begin to manage these belief systems and these emotions that have been kind of driving a lot of their decision making?
Well, that's so good. And immediately what comes to mind is paying attention, right?
Mm,
I know that, over my 30-year span in education, we were often taught about self-reflection. And
yeah,
oftentimes self-reflection comes at the end of the day,
yeah,
after the entire day has passed and you've interacted with students and parents and staff and all of that case. But if we were to really be in the moment, living in the now, and paying attention
yeah,
moment by moment as to how we're responding to certain individuals, how we're engaging in conversation, how we're initiating conversation, how we're responding to certain stressors that may come our way.
yeah,
The secretary is bringing a folder full of papers for you to sign, and you're before you know it, you're snapping at her because this one's flipped the wrong way. Where is that coming from? So we
right,
need to begin to pay attention when we find ourselves snapping, when we find ourselves just aggravated and
yeah,
irritated. We
yeah,
have to begin to ask ourselves, what is at the root?
yeah,
What
yeah,
is at the root of this? Where is this coming from? So
right,
no longer can our self reflection happen at the end of the day on that long ride home on the highway. It needs to be happening all throughout the course of the day. Why? You're the leader, you are
yeah,
the example. People
yeah,
are looking to you to not only be the example, they're looking to you to provide them with the guidance that they
yeah,
need. And I know
yeah,
you're saying, well, wait a minute, just like some teachers are saying in the classroom, Donna, I went to school to become a teacher, a math teacher. I only want to teach math. This particular organization, it's a law firm. I don't
right,
have time to coach and counsel people. But here's the thing, when we don't coach and counsel people, then we all of a sudden see morale goes down.
yes,
There's a lack of positivity.
Yes.
People are working, but they're half working,
Yes.
right?
Absolutely.
They're not
Yep.
putting forth their best effort, and they're just giving you, work that's mediocre
Yeah.
when we could be really getting work that's excellent.
There's really the opportunity there, right? Because at the end of the day, in order for you to be able to manage where you are, you
Yeah.
have to, like you said, you have to get to the root, which means you have to pay attention to your body. And I think a lot of people think they are just energy sources that keep going like the Energizer battery. Like I can do it. I mean, we are energy source, right? And so it just like our phones require recharge depending on how much you use it,
Yeah.
it requires you to recharge it, right? And what's so interesting is that people carry chargers with them everywhere for their phone and for their other devices, right? But what do you do to be able to charge yourself? Because if we're energy source, we have to be able to be charged up, right? And a lot of the times we are missing the recharging. And so I know that you wrote a few books, and I'm going to really just display. And if you can just kind of talk to us a little bit with some of these different books and what they mean, and how will it help people be able to recharge. Just give me one moment. Here is the slide for your books. And so
Uh,
here are the four books, as you can see on the screen.
mhm. Yep. And so ultimately, the self love book is, and I love this book, and I'm not just saying it because I wrote it, but I really love the download that I received and how this book was put together.
Yeah.
The book was designed to be a book and a workbook. So many of us, we have books, and then we have, a corresponding workbook that goes along with it. But I wanted it to be a one stop shop. So
Yeah.
before you can, really go on to the next chapter, it's important that you complete the activity in the chapter prior to.
Right.
And then once I was done with this book, I realized that, you know what? Um, I'm a journaler. I love to journal. I love to write out my thoughts. I love to write out my ideas, my goals, my strategies. And so I decided to create a corresponding journal to go along with the self-love book, and that is called the self-love journal. In this book are quotes that I use, throughout my journey doing this work. And there are, of course, a series of blank pages for you to just write freely. You can use this as a
Beautiful.
prayer journal. You can use this, as a journal to document your day, to write down your frustrations, to solve problems about yourself. You can just put anxiety in the middle of the page.
Right.
And then from there, safely determine what are the things that bring about anxiety. What people have to understand with anxiety is rooted in fear.
Yes. Yeah.
Anxiety is rooted in fear. And so the question that goes along with that is, what are you afraid of?
Yeah.
Right? Once we can get to the root of that and really begin to address those things, then we'll see ourselves weaning ourselves and moving towards a place of healing without medication.
Yeah.
So those two books. The next two is Leading in Love, and that of course is the text. This is just text, and ultimately I'm not going to go into too much detail, but the cover, both front and back cover, have something very, very, have a lot to do with what's inside the book, right? Because what we have to understand is that when we're leaders, we're navigating a journey, right?
Yes.
When we're doing the self-love piece, it's us on a journey. But when we're leading, not only we're navigating a journey, and we're taking some people along the journey with us.
Yeah.
We have to be on the lookout for storms. We have to be on the lookout for icebergs. Titanic was one of my
Yeah.
favorite movies, right? We have to be on the lookout for, these a bunch of seagulls that are about to crash into, the front of the ship. We just have to be on the lookout. And so ultimately that is that book. And I won't go into any more detail, but it's a great read. And then the workbook, which I'm most proud of, really takes the reader on a journey to really dive deep. We talk about effective communication. We talk about transparency and vulnerability and the power that's in that. We
Yeah.
talk about the power of self reflection and why self reflection is necessary. And so, those are just a few of the chapters that are within the workbook, Leading in Love. And so that's essentially it.
That is beautiful, and I truly believe that where we are, right? So many people. I think the pandemic brought out opportunities for us to be better, right? We
Yeah.
had a lot of time to sit and think about some of the different things that we have gone through in life, right? We had a lot of time to sit there. And so a lot of people, as a result of the pandemic, what they ended up doing was they ended up changing jobs. They ended up opening up their own business. They ended up doing things that were different because they had certain awarenesses, right? And so
Mhm.
I love your books because what it does, it takes people on a journey, right? Because one of the things that I heard you say is you're still on the journey,
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
You're still on a journey. I know that I'm still on a journey, but I believe that this is the season and this is the time for us to begin to, not only work on the spirit part of us. I know a lot of people are, they go to church, they practice their faith, all of that. They pray, they fast, they do all of those wonderful things, right? They work on the physical, right? They may go to the gym, they may watch what they eat, they dress up the external, right?
Yep.
Hair, makeup, all of that kind of stuff, right? They're
Right.
doing those things. But what is the controller of their reality on this earth is the soul.
That's it. Your
The
mind,
soul,
your will, and your emotions. Yep.
your mind, your will, your emotions. And so here it is. The soul is the one that dictates the reality and takes the information from both sides. And then your soul decides, what am I going to do? What information am I going to go with? And so that's actually one of the reasons why I wrote my book, Hard Work of the Soul, because there's been a lot of emphasis on spirituality. There's been a lot of emphasis on physical, but where is the emphasis on the soul? And so this is why I wanted to collaborate with you because what you do is also soul work because you're
Yes.
talking about matters of the heart as well. And
Yes.
so my book is also available with at Heart Work of the Soul at heartworkprecision.com. You'll be able to get your copy. But I also just wrote a book to help people be able to, number one, be aware of their emotions, what's at the root of their decision making, be able to regulate, put certain disciplines, in place, right? And as well as be empathetic to yourself.
Right.
A lot of the time, it is very difficult for us to be empathetic to other people because we're not empathetic to ourselves first. And
Right.
so I am just so glad that I could collaborate, that we could collaborate because I believe that this is a time where we have to be more intentional
Yep.
about what we're doing and how we're doing and why we are doing. So I'm going to actually just go to anyone that is online right now. Do you have any questions? Dr. Donna is here. This is the journey into wholeness. That's what we've been talking about. And so I wanted to kind of just put Dr. Donna on the spot for a minute. And as well as, so I'm going to go over to any of the comments. If anyone has a comment or if they have a question that they
Okay.
would like to ask, go ahead and put it inside the chat real quick. I'm going to go ahead and check the chat just really quickly, just to see if there's any questions there on what love is or how do we love. Is it possible, Dr. Lindsay, is it possible to fall out of love?
Is it possible to fall out of love? Okay. So, and I've been asked this before. And so we have to understand that love is an action.
Yeah,
And I think a lot of times when we think about romanticism, somehow when romanticism, another human being in our lives gets involved, things just start getting muddy. Okay.
right,
Love is love. So you either love the person or you hate the person.
right,
You don't fall out of it. You can't fall out of love. Okay. And I'm not trying to be, funny, but you can't fall out of love. So it's either you love them or you hate them. there's
right,
there's no in between.
right,
And it doesn't sound like you hate the person.
right.
So but what it does sound like is that you love this person, but maybe we can't continue on this journey together.
Right, right. So you're saying love from afar, that you can love from
Love.
afar.
You can love from afar. How many? I
Absolutely.
love so many people from afar.
Yeah. Yep.
You
Absolutely.
know, I love a lot of people from afar. You know, their time, their season in my life has come to a close. And, you know, if I saw them, if I was commissioned, you know, by God to go ahead and help, I would.
Yeah.
You know, we have to understand that love is an action.
Yeah.
It's not the flowers, it's not the chocolate, it's not for the married folk.
Yes.
It's not that for the married folk,
Absolutely.
right? It's not that. That is not it. That is an
Yeah.
action that gives us the opportunity to demonstrate our love. Okay,
Absolutely.
but love is hardcore, guys. Love is hardcore. It's patience. It's kindness. It's endurance. It's long suffering. It's loving kindness.
Yeah.
We
That
not
part.
recording wrong. Do it.
Yes. Yeah. That's what it
Okay.
is. I'm so glad that you cleared that up. I didn't see any other questions in here. I want to thank you so much for being a part of the show. You
Thank
guys,
you.
if you have not, if you've never heard of Dr. Lindsay before, if you have not heard about her books, I strongly encourage you. If you want to do more than put lipstick on a pig,
Mm-hmm. That's what I say.
oh, that's what you say too. If you
I just said it about an hour ago. Yes, ma'am. Everybody knows that's my term. I need to get a shirt. Yes, ma'am. That is my
so
term.
there it is. So if you want to do more than put lipstick on a pig,
That's right.
it's very important that you start doing the internal work and understand that self care and self love is two different things. Please understand that emotions is what is at the root of your capability to be able to love yourself in an authentic and a sincere way. Dr. Donna Lindsay, is there anything else that you would like to share with anyone that is watching before we conclude the stream?
So what comes to mind is to be patient. Be patient with yourself. You know, this journey of self-love, it's going to require, as we said earlier, it's going to require intentionality, it's going to require discipline, it's going to require consistency. And as I said to you, I am the author of the book. But this does not negate the fact that I'm still going through my own process. I've graduated now from kindergarten, fifth
Yeah,
grade, and I'm now working, you know, on high school.
right.
But nonetheless, it is a journey. It is not a destination. You don't feel like you're ever going to arrive, because there's always room and space for growth. There's always room and space for transformation. There's always room and space for reformation and reconstruction. And that's exactly what this journey is. So I want to say to you, Joanna, this has
Yeah,
been an absolute pleasure. We've been talking about doing this for a very long time,
yeah,
and I'm glad that we've finally been able to connect. Our worlds have truly collided now
yeah,
with both of these books, and I'm just really hoping that those that you know, could benefit from the teachings built within would definitely grab a hold.
yeah. Thank you so much. And for anyone else that is watching out there, please know that you need to respect your emotions
Yep.
or they will drag you through life.
Yes.
A lot of the times people disrespect their emotions by suppressing them, and they end up being led by them, even sometimes to prison or to death,
Mm,
right? Both of those places. And so there does, intentionality is required. And it's not something that you've been taught. It's
yeah.
something that is a skill set. What I'm talking about is a complete skill set. And so I'm here to help you just kind of go along the way, so that way you can do your work and you can be intentional about being free from whether it's a cultural mindset,
Mm,
toxic, or upbringing, toxic mindset. It's important for you to do your work so you don't pass it on to your kids. We're
right.
supposed to leave an inheritance to our children, not a bag of trauma. So I want to thank everyone that's been watching.
Yeah.
And thank you again, Dr. Donna Lindsay. Enjoy
Thank
the
you.
rest of your evening, everyone. Bye bye.
All right. Bye bye. See you later.
Bye.